Hi everyone, and this is going to be a short video on reviewing detailed drawings, and I'm going to use the trunnion based component that you can see on the screen through here. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through and basically figure out what dimensions or components are incorrect with this drawing. So what we're expecting you to do is to identify 4 different components that are either missing or wrong on a particular drawing. There's going to be more than this, but we want you to identify some of the 4 key components here. So I am using a new piece of technology that I've recently got, and hopefully this will be a little bit less clunky than what I've done previously, where I've tried to use the mouse to physically draw, where I'm actually using new technology to physically review these drawings. So please keep in mind I may be occasionally looking down below when I'm actually physically drawing on this little tablet, but hopefully this is a bit of a better learning experience, and hopefully, if it is, you can please let me know because I do appreciate the feedback. So the first thing that we do is we look at, I look at a very high level, what am I actually trying to make? So I'm trying to make, essentially, I've got a piece of plate which has some notched out sections and some holes in it. So that's what I'm at a high level looking at. And I've also got a detailed drawing title block. So we're off to a reasonably good start. The next thing that I would start to look at is what do I need to start to make this component from? So for example, what I'm talking about here, I know I need a 200 by 200 mil plate. Out of what thickness, I don't know, and that's already a dimension that we're missing. So me looking down at the technology below, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to do is, I know that I need this thickness through here. So all I would simply do is draw the arrows in with a question mark through there like that. So I already know that that's a dimension that I'm physically missing. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rub out that little question mark because that was a little bit untidy, and draw that in there because that's a little bit more tidy now. So I've already identified one component that's incorrect. So I don't know what that particular thickness of the material is. So once that's added, machinist is going to know, okay, I need 200 by 200 square piece of steel, which is then going to be whatever thickness it's going to be. So on the topic of steel, that's where I'm going to come down to my title block now. So looking at my title block, I can see that I have the material, which is down through here, of mild steel. MS typically means mild steel. So we're already good to go there. A finish, we don't really need one in this case. My tolerances is fine. The rest of my title block's good. We've got a checked and approved by with a date, a project number. The next thing that I can immediately see that's incorrect is my scale down through the bottom here. 3/10 isn't an Australian, an AS 1100 or an Australian standard scale there. So that's one that's of concern. So again, I would highlight that. So that's already 2 issues that we've found. My name, the drawn by, because it's a sample, we've just called it sample, sheet size and drawing number, all of that's pretty good. The other thing that's missing on this particular drawing would be the quantity. So I would expect a quantity of question mark to be up there somewhere, just as a little note in this case. So we've already identified another one there. Okay, so coming back to the actual components on the drawing through here. So what you can see is we've also got these notched out sections. Again, I don't have any dimensions there of what they look like, and I also don't have any dimensions of the hole location. So let's whack those in next. So the next dimension I would probably chuck in is, for completeness, I don't know what that dimension is, and then for completeness, I'd also whack that one, and then that one. So then I've got those location dimensions, and if I was to have these 3 particular dimensions, sorry, in these locations through here, the other thing that I might put in is brackets around this 200. And I'm just going to neaten that up a little bit, rotating my little tablet around. 200. So what the brackets mean is that becomes now a reference dimension. So that's something that would be quite typical that you may see. The other thing that I don't have, and I'm going to do it on the other side of the drawing, just to make it a little bit neater, is my hole locations. And one thing that you may have noticed, and this again is something that when you do review your drawings, you might start to think, okay, now that I've got this notched out section and what those dimensions are, I'm not happy with where these particular hole locations will line up with the dimensions and the like, because I need to add those in. So what you may want to do there is, you may want to use the side view. And again, you want to try and spread out your dimensions as much as you can. So what I'm going to actually come through and do is, I'm going to delete all of those particular components there. And turning the tablet around a little bit, I'm now going to add these through here. And then put my arrows with question marks. And then the last one that we could put in, again, as our reference dimension. which that I know that is 200, and that should be in brackets because that'll now be a reference dimension. And then what that would therefore mean is I can essentially get rid of that dimension through there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now is these hole locations, now that we've moved these other dimensions off to our side view. So on our front view, essentially if I pick up this center line through there, I should have a dimension through there. And depending how you want to reference it, you could either do another dimension here, or you could simply do the 2 between the middle as well, depending what you want to do there. So for this particular week, I would accept either there. So the other dimension that we're also missing here is this one here, so our hole locations in general. And that one there. So what we've now done is, I know what these notched out sections are. So I've got the dimensions down that way. The one thing I am missing, which I'll put a dimension down the bottom shortly, is the depth of that. I know my hole locations. I need to double check my hole sizes in a minute. So stepping back, looking at our title block, scale was incorrect, we've updated that. Quantity was incorrect, we've updated that. We've got a 200 by 200 mil piece of plate, which is some thickness, which we've identified. We know what these notched out sections are, and that'll be fully completed when I drop down a dimension through there. So I'm not overly happy with that. So again, this is the whole idea with reviewing drawings. You need to go backwards and forwards a little bit. So I drop that down with a question mark through there. So there's that dimension as well that we'll need. And again, we're assuming some symmetry here. So if you wanted it for full completeness, you could put that on the other side. For this exercise, to me, you've already identified that notched out section needs a dimension, so that one's fine. So now that we've got our overarch shape, those notched out sections, and we've also done the hole locations, the last one we want to check is, so we've got 4 times, there is 4 holes, which is good. So they're going to be a 15 diameter through hole with a counter sink of diameter 30. So that's the correct notation there as well. So this drawing would now be fully defined, and once it's updated, I would just do another double check that we're happy with everything, and then it's good to go. Okay, so now that we've reviewed that drawing, that I would now send back to whoever was doing that particular drawing, get them to make those revisions, and I would just do a final sanity check once those are done. Because once you get to more complex parts, you'll be surprised at how many things you can start to pick up as you keep going through. So it is a very iterative process. And as you can see here, once I move this 200 millimeter dimension over to this side, it may change something else as well. So generally what I would do is I would just do another double check. But you can see pretty easily that I've started to come up with those 4 key indicators pretty quickly. So I've got my quantities missing, scale was incorrect, thickness missing, the locations of these dimensions, and also the hole locations as well. So quite a few there that you can pick up. And again, like everything you do within the course, it's going to come with practice. So the more that you practice these skills, the better that you're going to become at it. So if you do get stuck with any of the exercises that you're working through, please certainly do let us know. This is kind of what we're expecting for you to do for your TSP this week. So I'd print out a copy, draw on the dimensions that are missing with question marks, for example, like I've done through here. Also done some examples within the Q&A session for you to watch through as well. So hopefully that was a useful exercise as well. I'd also put some notes down in terms of why you would need these dimensions. So for example, these hole locations, you could just say missing hole location dimensions, notched out section, dimensions missing, plate thickness missing, quantity missing, incorrect scale. Just a couple of dot point notes, just so you can demonstrate we know what you're talking about. So hopefully this video has been useful in terms of what we're expecting for you to work through with the reviewing detailed drawing exercises. If you do get stuck, please certainly do reach out to us during the computer lab sessions, where we'll be more than happy to help. So hopefully this video has been useful, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for listening.